Welcome to another episode of the All Tense Podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh West. As always, with me, Clay Harris. And today, Clay, we're talking about one of the foundational tools in EOS, a very critical one. It's the accountability chart. Now, just the name alone conjures up within our listeners probably, how is this different from an organizational chart? So let's start there, Clay.
Accountability, how is it different? Well, first of all, whenever I write about accountability chart, I write AC on the board. So that's the acronym. But also yesterday, I live in North Carolina. It's June and my AC was out of my house. And so whether it's air conditioning or accountability chart, they're both pretty darn important.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as an Arizona resident, right now we're consistently up over 100. So yeah, AC important out here too, bud.
Anyway, but accountability chart. How's it different than an org chart? Oh, I just got to tell you, Josh, I've been working in EOS for 20 years. So it's been a long time since I've had to even think about an organizational chart. And I think that, we don't want to talk bad about any kind of chart. I love all the charts. Org chart, pie chart, love pie. But accountability chart versus org chart. Org chart normally revolves around names and titles and just who reports to who. Right? Like it's pretty simple. Has a name, has a title. Normally the name is big and bold and up front. And then you got your title right underneath it. And then you got some lines of who reports to whom. Accountability chart's similar in that it kind of lays out the kind of accountability structure, who reports to whom, who is accountable to whom. But instead of being name and title focused, it's function and role focused, right? So in my humble opinion, not just as an EOS implementer, but as an entrepreneur who's lived with the accountability chart, the thing that it does is it kind of frees you up from this constant worry about like, oh no, what is Joe going to think about whether or not I got the font right on the org chart, right? and spend more time worrying about what does company need out of the team members that are here. And so that's why you do function and role first to define the chart, and then you throw so that was a really long answer to a really short question. I don't know if I answered it well. Josh, what did I miss?
No, you're on it. And I think that also, I'll add to that org charts, certainly they have names, they have titles, but also when we think about how they came to be. So a lot of how that org chart is structured may be politically motivated, right? And it was designed around the people, if you will. And as you well know, when we begin to work with leaders, that we take the step back and we focus on structure first, people second, and we don't even talk about names or titles, but we're worried about what is at the service of the best interest and the greater good of the organization, and specifically structuring the business looking forward, not backward, and not even where we're at today, but which functions and what roles do we need in order to be successful and accomplish our goals. And so that's another, for me, a major difference in like just simply, if you started both from scratch, how are each of them even constructed and built?
Yeah, one is, and it's really hard, even when you're in the midst of trying to build an accountability chart, whether it's your first time or your 50th time, right? Trying to work with an accountability chart. I think it's really easy to kind of fall into that trap of, well, person A, and you're like, whoa. Hey, take a step back. I hear you. We love person A. Person A is wonderful. But let's pretend like we're kind of outside looking in on the business. What do we need? And so when you say structure first, just to kind of tie the two things together, when we say structure first, that means we first start with key functions of the organization, and then within each function of the organization, define the 5 roles for that function. And those two things, right? The function plus the roles build the seat. And the accountability chart is made up of a bunch of seats, and that builds the structure of the organization. And then once you've got that all clear, then you drop the names in it. So function, roles, people, and even when you've done that a gazillion times, it's hard to not take a look at the people and pull it out. So if that's the way you're feeling as you're kind of working through the accountability chart in your organization, and you keep getting stuck on, well, Josh is in this seat, Clay's in this. That's just normal. That's the way everybody has to go through it. You just kind of got to catch it, recognize it, and try to zoom back out.
Yeah, when I'm working with clients and it's difficult, and I know it's difficult, and we set the rules for them that this is a forward-looking exercise. We're not looking back, and we're not going to talk about the past. We're not going to talk about people's names, etc. And after I correct them a couple times and try to get them back on track to the structure, I may go so far as to kind of give them the prompt that everyone's fired right now as we sit. I just fired everyone in the organization, right? Now let's structure it and we'll rehire people in a moment. And that usually gets some eyebrows going up. Obviously, it's not literal. As an implementer, I don't have the authority to terminate anyone's employment in your organization, but just as a way of getting in the correct mindset to get the structure of the business right for the greater good moving forward, that's the kind of mindset we've got to get into.
I think the other 100%, and when you do that, I think this is like the kind of this Venn diagram that makes it tough of like existing people, right? Makes it tough. That's a hard thing. This idea that we're function first, that's kind of a new way of thinking about it. And then the other thing that you said that is super important is that it's forward looking. Whatever the opposite of that overlap is like if you actually think about how a lot of entrepreneurs or leaders of companies think about how they build their org chart, it's who do they have in the seat now and what have they been doing for a long time. This is where you kind of fall into those traps, not only of existing people, but fall into like, well, we've always had a person doing this job, right? Or whatever. And so you're right. One, eliminating existing people, but also if we want to accomplish the things that we need to get done in the next 12 to 18 months, how do we need to put these people together, put these functions and roles together to make that happen as quickly and as effectively as possible? And those two things are real tricky, but real powerful when you get them right.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're coming to an end on the structure first side of things. I think that's well understood. Then we always say people second. We'll tackle that in the next episode. Clay, you got any nuggets for our listeners around the structure of creating an accountability chart?
I think the only nugget that I have, and I was literally just with a team yesterday who was in our second session. So we built an accountability chart about 30 days ago, and we came back yesterday and started like pushing on it a little bit. And it's not a video game. And this is like what I say in the session room all the time. There's not going to be some like if you press the right combination of buttons, like confetti doesn't fall out of the sky and you get it right. This is like a work in progress forever. And so you want to kind of get it right today and recognize and accept and give yourself the grace that like 60, 90 a year from now, it might look a little different. And that's okay. We're doing the best job we can today, and trust that every 90 days we'll lift our heads up a little bit, make sure we got the right structure in place, make any tweaks that we need to do, and put our heads back down and get to work again. So like work in progress all the time. What about you?
It's interesting that you mentioned work in progress, and I never expect a team to completely nail role clarity throughout the entire chart to begin with. And a great place to continue to enhance that is when you're working through your issues. So as you're working through those issues, it should be usually apparent about who owns that specific role on the accountability chart and who's going to lead the charge to really solve that issue. And as we find issues and you can't find that readily on the accountability chart, then great, you've identified a gap. And now you can continue to enhance that role clarity wherever it goes. And so the issues and just trusting that process week over week as you work through them is a great place to then also make sure you've got role clarity on the accountability chart. And those two things are connected in that way.
What a good nugget, Josh. So proud of that nugget.
That's a good one.
That's
It
a good
really
one.
helps because people get a little frustrated and like, I don't necessarily know what all the rules are. And it's like, let's just get a few down and trust the process and move forward. Take
Heard.
them home, Clay.
Well, cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This is our first of maybe two, maybe three podcasts about the accountability chart. We'll see where we end up on the next one. But the next one, we're going to at least start talking about the people side. We spend a lot of time talking about structure. Move over to people next time. We hope you'll join us. Thanks for listening to the All Tens podcast. As always, we'd love your feedback, ideas, comments. Mainly, we want positive. We want good. I want a pat on the back every once in a while. But if you want us to do something different, we'll do that too. Anyway, thanks for listening. My name is Clay. His name is Josh, and we'd love to hear from you. Talk to you soon. Good job, Joshy.
Bye, Clay.